Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Sabrina Daly.
And I am Isana Cayetano. Good morning.
And it's a lovely Monday morning, the
Good
start
morning,
of
Sabrina.
the week. Isani, how are we doing?
Man, I'd like to say that I'm doing well, but given the circumstances, I'm fearing off just okay.
Are
the
you
circumstances being the oppressive heat that we're...
Okay, that's what I was going to ask, if you're willing to share. But yes, in that case, we're all in the same boat, man, because it was HOTTTTT over the weekend, and it's still a bit warm, but I mean...
I woke up this morning, this is how bad it is, right?
Uh-huh.
I woke up this morning and I realized that I don't have my priorities in order.
Uh-huh, what's your priorities? Let us know.
Because I've had this project to do well before the summer heat came down upon us.
And that's getting,
That's installing an air conditioning unit in the bedroom. So we have the AC. I just didn't really, focus on getting it up and running. But the experience of last night into this morning
made you realize,
high
get your
priority.
priorities together,
Yes,
Isani.
yes.
Well, in that case, me too, because I needed to service my AC, and I can tell now. So, yeah, it's been hot. And, of course, we've been telling everyone, try to stay cool. It almost felt like I did not have AC over the weekend, so I've just been drinking a lot of ice water, trying to stay cool.
Which is good.
Water, yeah, definitely.
Hydrating water cleans the skin and does all of that other stuff.
You know it's bad when you're showering and you're sweating in the shower. Like nothing is helping. But of course, yeah, we all felt that. It felt like definitely over 100 degrees over the weekend, and yeah, we're hoping that it does not continue through to the week. But of course, we'll be getting more information from the National Meteorological Service later in the show. But we want to say good morning to you guys, wherever you are, locally or abroad, at home, getting that first cup of coffee or a cup of tea if that's what you're into. We're happy to have you here, right here with us as you start your morning right. Isani.
It is Monday morning, wow.
Yes, it is a Monday morning.
Back on the grind.
Back on it, and I have to say that I feel rather upbeat for a Monday. I feel like I'm ready to take on the week, and I'm hoping that most of us are feeling like that. With all the conditions, considered, being the heat and everything else, I think that it's good when you have at least a positive personality on a Monday, because it's very rare for us to feel. Usually Mondays are dreading, we dread Mondays. But I'm looking forward to the week.
I'll speak for myself. I always look forward to Monday morning. Not only is it the start of a new work week, it's an opportunity to connect with our viewers once again. At least that's how I look at it, you know. And being able to, share things that are happening, being able to discuss how you spent your weekend, and of course getting into the somewhat heavier conversations of the day during the course of the show. I look forward to that.
Yeah. Well, I do too, but on Mondays, I think it's hard for most of us.
Suffice to say, though, that Monday is, for us in the media, always the heaviest day of the week.
Yes, it is, because of the weekend. And of course, we'll be touching a bit more on what took place over the weekend in our Eye on the News segment. But just for what's buzzing, we do know that the heat was definitely one of them. We also know that the last day of KTV auditions closed the 11th. So if you weren't able to audition, I'm sorry, maybe next season. As you would know, the audition dates were on June 3rd and June 11th, which was yesterday. And you were also able to submit online auditions. So I'm hoping you took advantage of that if you were not able to come in here at our studios. But we're excited for what's next in this season of KTV The Remix. I'm excited to see the auditions on its own. So I know that We have local and international viewers, loyal viewers that are excited for this season of KTV, including here that, you know, are working for it.
Well, going forward, the competition, the season begins in earnest. So those who are successful in making the auditions now go on to actually show Belize and by extension the world the talent that they have or don't have, or let me not say don't have, but the talent that they would need to brush up on.
Yeah.
I got to take that back.
Sounds like, or don't have.
No, because some people need advice and guidance, right? I'll just leave that there.
Yeah, we'll leave that one there. But what also took place over the weekend was Mango Fest, and we were talking about that on Friday. We were so excited for Mango Fest. So I'm hoping that you guys were able to take advantage of the festivities over at Hopkins. There was an entire street fest where vendors were able to infuse mango in their products, aside from just eating mangoes in general. I believe there was a competition for who had the heaviest mango, and if I'm not mistaken, or the biggest mango, which would obviously be heavy. I believe the weight was 3 or 5 pounds. I want to think it's 5 pounds though. And Sonny,
I believe it's what you call a bellyful mango.
I could eat one of that by myself. No, but definitely if you were a lover of mango, Hopkins was where you should have been over the weekend. But yeah, that's what took place in terms of lighter topics, and we're going to move things over to Isani's Eye on the News.
Before we get into discussing what has been a staple in the news for the past several weeks, I'd like to first discuss the incident that happened over the course of the weekend that, you know, a number of people, those familiar with the families and of course persons who knew these 3 young women. So there was a fatal road traffic accident on the Philip Golson Highway over the weekend, and there were 3 casualties in this incident. I think for me, I don't know any of the victims. I never knew them, but the takeaway will always be, you know, road safety.
Yeah.
I'm not in a position to say who was right or wrong in this particular incident. I think the big picture is, how do we use our public roads in a manner that is responsible not only for ourselves but for other users as well. You know, in Belize we don't have expressways with multiple lanes and so on and so forth. We have an inbound lane and an outbound lane, and vehicular traffic moves in either of those 2 directions. And when I read the details so far of what took place, it's extremely tragic.
Yeah.
It's a sad story for the families of these young ladies, you know. Oftentimes when we in the media cover stories such as this, where you have multiple fatalities, you usually look at families, you look at young men traveling in a vehicle, so on and so forth. But this one claimed the lives of 3 young ladies. And I think for those who knew these women, it's a different feeling for them than those of us who would be able to, you know, sympathize with the family or empathize with the situation of having dealt with a tragedy similar to this before. And I think that's what stays with me insofar as, you know, learning about this tragedy over the weekend.
Yeah.
You know, I know that we'll be setting out this morning to, you know, seek interviews with the families to get a better understanding, a clearer picture of what took place and those other details, you know.
You know, Isani, I can tell you that I know the family, and of the three girls, I graduated primary school with the oldest. So it was such a hard situation. Hearing news like that, of course, me and my family, we took a moment to really just think about their mother at this time, because she would have lost two daughters in one incident, and I believe the youngest is her granddaughter. I'm not certain.
17-year-old minor.
Yes. So it was really hard. It was really, really hard to hear that news. And I mean, my heart goes out to the Davis family at this time. For me, it really put things into perspective of how short life can be as well. In an instance, you really don't know when your time is. And yeah, my sympathies go out to the family at this time. Miss Davis, I'm thinking about you at this time.
So that's the first point I wanted to raise this morning in our Ireland News segment. The other has been a conversation that the country has been having ever since news broke of the definitive agreement, and that has taken hold of the public attention for several weeks. And it doesn't seem as though there's going to be an end to this saga anytime soon, considering the fact that there are always constant developments in respect of this issue. So on June 12th, the leader of the opposition, in his capacity, wrote to the chief executive officer of the Royal Caribbean Group. This is in respect of the memorandum of understanding that was signed recently between Royal Caribbean and Portico and Boscalis. And this MOU was signed in the middle of the controversy regarding the definitive agreement. And so this is the latest twist in this ongoing plot. We left on Friday with the headline that the former Minister of Economic Development would be taken to court for misfeasance, right? And this, of course, had to do with the signing of this document where, you know, certain advantages, to use that description, were given in favor of Portico's Port Magical Belize. And so out of this has come a number of questions and decisive moves, if I may, where the Contractor General has been asked to investigate, where the Ombudsman has also been asked to investigate, where now they're writing to the CEO for the Royal Caribbean Group. And it's a situation where, you know, this revolves around perhaps the biggest revenue generator for the country, which is tourism. You know, and so while we lean on tourism heavily for our bread and butter, things need to be done in such a way where it is equitable, it is legal, first and foremost, and it is sustainable. We say sustainable because there's always an environmental consideration to be made. When you look at the size and the scale of these projects, you know, we have to think about our natural resources. We have to think about flora and fauna as well. All of these things, right? But I think this conversation, this ongoing conversation, you know, brings to mind all of these various factors.
Yeah.
And this latest twist is just another in an ongoing series of twists in this story.
I mean, as you said, Isane, this has been one of the most controversial stories we've been covering in the newscast as of recent. Of course, it has brought about a lot of hidden information that we, you know, would have never guessed to be the case. So we can say that we will be having Honorable Anthony Mahler on set, and as Isani mentioned, this particular topic affects tourism. So I'm hoping that we would be able to indulge in this particular topic in conversation with him later in the show.
Aside from the issue of the definitive agreement, one of the other headline items on Friday when we left was the 21-day notice, being given by the Christian Workers Union to the Port of Belize Limited.
For industrial
And
action.
this is in respect of pending industrial action. Now, we've also been covering this particular issue between the CWU and the PBL for several weeks. And it has to do with the decision of the Essential Services Tribunal. And the fact that the stevedores are firm in their belief that they're owed monies, and their employer is equally steadfast in saying, well, no, you weren't made redundant, so there shouldn't, be a payout if, your roles were no longer, needed and you weren't any longer functioning in that capacity. And so that created the logjam between both parties, and this has been going on for several weeks.
Yeah.
So the latest development is a 21-day notice, and if you would recall on Friday, there were releases issued back to back, so to speak, where the CWU presented its statement, the notice of the 21 days, and then the PBL fired back and so on and so forth. The thing about industrial action is that people lose money.
Both
and if
sides.
we're looking, not only both sides,
even the
customers,
consumers, yes.
I think that's the biggest part of this thing, if you ask me. It's the fact that while these two parties are locking horns, the persons who access these services are the ones who end up, in a bad place. Ships can't be loaded, ships can't be discharged of their cargo and what have you, and everything comes to a virtual standstill.
Yeah.
And money is lost as a result. Similarly, you would recall that fairly recently, there was a decision made by the High Court in respect of an ongoing issue between the Port of Belize and the stevedores over monies that were reportedly lost during the last strike action. So this is an entire tangled mess,
And it stems way back as well. This isn't the conflict with the Port of Belize and the stevedores is not a recent one. It's a wound that seems to be almost like a scab that's not able to heal, where we're picking at this wound all over again. And as you rightly mentioned, it's not something that benefits anyone, but the people that are most affected are persons waiting for their cargo, to be discharged. And soon enough, I'm certain we will be hearing complaints from these persons as well.
I think what is interesting to look at, and we're talking big picture at this point.
Yeah.
The issue between the stevedores and their employers is something that has outlasted or outlived, so to speak, the presidency of various CWU leaders.
Yeah.
It has also outlasted and outlived the tenure of CEOs, receivers, and other persons hired to head the Port of Belize Limited. So it's one of those situations where there has always been this tension between the employer and the employees, and it's a cat and dog kind of fight, you know, and at this point, the court is in the middle of it trying to arbitrate, how this should be resolved and what have you. So it's something that we're monitoring closely. The countdown begins, in a manner of speaking, to see whether or not they will follow through with this next round of industrial action.
Yeah, yeah. I absolutely agree with you. I believe that we will be seeing even more how tensions will thicken between the stevedores and the Port of Belize, because as you mentioned, they have established a 21-day notice for industrial action. We've also seen cases where their industrial action has led to violence as well. So this isn't something that we would want to be covering, but of course we have to because it is a part of national news.
Yeah. So all of this takes place with a new leader for the CWU, a new president at the helm of that particular labor movement.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes from here. But so yes, that does it for the Iron News this morning. Certainly details of these stories and more you will be able to catch at 6 p.m. in our evening newscast live on 5. And of course, you can catch our content online on Facebook or YouTube. That does it for our Iron News this morning.
All right, and moving things over into the weather. And as we mentioned, it was hot. So if you're looking for amateur weather reporter, I'm telling you already it was hot, and it might continue hot. But of course, we are going to get further details from the National Meteorological Service. I think this is the first time, Isani, that I will admit I really want some rain. I just please pour. I want some rain. And conversations we're also having about the heat and as it relates to the hurricane season. And I'll also use this opportunity to remind our viewers that the National Meteorological Service did give us information that this year is an El Nino year. And basically what that means is that it's going to be hot, but it does not necessarily mean that we may have more hurricanes. Of course, though, we do have the National Meteorological Service with us here online, and that is forecaster Cumberbatch. Good morning.
Good morning, Sabrina and Isani. Good morning.
I was just trying to help school our viewers on what El Nino means, but I'll go to you and you can give us an opportunity to explain that again, because a lot of the conversations right now is surrounding the heat and assuming that it would mean that we will be having more hurricanes this season. Could you give us a bit of an explanation of what El Nino means and how it contributes to, in fact, lesser hurricanes?
Okay, first we'll just talk about the general forecast that we're expecting today, then we go into that, okay?
Okay.
Hello, okay. Okay, 1 minute. Let me bring up my screen. It went off just now.
All right. So we're going
okay.
to, yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, the screen went down just now, so I was just trying to bring it up back. Let me start while I bring it up. Let me just go with the general situation.
Okay.
So today, what we expect. Okay, for today we expect hot and mostly dry conditions to continue again. So for the next 24 hours, it will be mostly sunny and hot conditions with high temperatures reaching 91 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, to 102 inland and 88 up in the mountains. With those high temperatures, Sabrina, the National Meteorological Service continue to issue a heat alert, and that remains in effect for residents, especially those living in the inland areas of the country, Orange Walk, Cayo, and Belmapod areas. We expect the temperatures in those areas to go up to 102 degrees Fahrenheit today. Yesterday it went up to 104. So yesterday was extremely hot.
We felt it.
Yes. Let me continue. Oh boy, the screen got long again. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and for tonight, we expect the skies to be clear to partly cloudy, and the temperatures will drop to 82 along the coast, 73 inland, and 70 in the higher elevation. Little to no rainfall is expected, except for the chance of isolated thunderstorms developing over the inland areas during the afternoon or nighttime. And those inland areas is where the very high temperatures are expected. So we expect the isolated showers or isolated thunderstorms to develop in those areas. Elsewhere, little to no rainfall is expected.
Right.
And the winds will be coming out of the east to southeast at 5 to 15 knots, and the sea state will be choppy.
All right. Ooh. All right, we just lost the National Meteorological Service right at the end, though. So we're going to say thank you for the information regardless. As she mentioned, it's going to continue hot with temperatures rising as high as 102 degrees. So definitely try to stay cool, try to stay hydrated, and of course stay indoors if you can. We're going to move into our show lineup this morning, though, and we have 3 great conversations, and we kind of teased it a little bit in our Eye on the News. In our first segment, we'll be joined by the Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, Anthony Mahler, to give us an update on tourism in Belize.
Our second segment this morning is with the Director of the Belize Red Cross as we discuss the hurricane season and, of course, preparedness.
And in our third and final segment, we'll be joined by representatives from the City Council to talk to us about public property taxes. All right. Well, Isani, we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, it's all about tourism with our Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations. Don't go away.
After a rough week of school, Jake and his friends decide to treat themselves to frozen coffee. And since they don't have cash on them, they decide to use eCash. With eCash's geolocation feature, Jake can easily find the nearest coffee spot. With eCash's built-in option to split bills, Jake can pay the bill and his friends can reimburse their portion of the bill. Jake scans the merchant's code and confirms payment. Jake then views his transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made, then taps the Split the Bill button where he selects the Evenly option to evenly split the bill. The application splits the bill automatically. His friends receive and accept the request. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash makes Jake enjoy his digital lifestyle.
Well, I can't believe the grill pan is whole, the grill. Well, don't worry about nothing. We got a new one at the Benny's Father's Day Fest.
Oh, that they happen again?
Yes, and this year,
Benny's is giving 19% off store-wide. Yes, 19% off everything.
Why, we have for the day, bro.
but wait, don't forget, the race is still on.
The Benny's 100 car race, the racers will once again compete to claim the top prize and become the champion.
Anyways, look on the time. If you have a grill, I need to go.
Alright, yeah, bro. New whip?
Push the start.
Alright, big time. Boy!
Boy, Kagali push the start, man.
The Benny's Father's Day Fest, Saturday, June 17th, Benny's Superstore. This one you don't want to miss.
Sign up for Smart Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. So get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
And welcome back. Joining us in studio this morning for our first conversation is the Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, none other than Anthony Mahler. Good morning, Minister Mahler.
Good morning.
Morning, guys. Morning, Belize. Thanks for having me.
I think it's your first time on the show with us, correct?
No. Since I became minister?
Yeah.
No, it's like the third or fourth.
Okay. I must have missed you then.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good, great.
So there's a lot that we want to get into this morning.
I'm sure you do.
Tourism is the lifeblood of the country. You have stakeholders far and near who are invested in tourism. And there's a lot going on in the industry. The first thing that I would want for us to get into is perhaps an update as to the recent discussions that may have been held with yourself and the Minister of State, Chris Koyi, and of course the other stakeholders regarding the Port Magical situation and of course the controversial definitive agreement. Perhaps we can start there.
Sure. Well, I must say firstly though, that yes, tourism is the lifeblood, but we truly believe in the diversification of our economy. I believe that allows us to be resilient to any exogenous shocks, anything, hurricanes, anything here in Belize as well. And so my colleague, Honorable Abema, is doing a great job in agriculture. Other members of cabinet in their roles as minister are also doing great jobs in their ministries. So I just wanted to put that out there. But tourism has many intersectoral linkages.
Yeah.
And so you're right, it is crucial to the movement of our economy and moving forward. In terms of your specific question, as you know, this has been in turmoil for many years. Just to me, it is unnecessary. I think that if you look at the makeup of the cruise sector, you have a few major players internationally, and they work with the region. And so we have a growth path, and the cruise lines are saying that the bigger ships, in no way or form, they would want to tender.
Yeah.
And so even though I support the Stake Bank project, I think in the interim, that will have some issues down the road if they don't get the causeway. Now, which of the other two will be built? It looks like Port of Magical, the people behind that development have mustered up the financing to start the project and to get it going. And so if we don't get a docking facility soon, we'll definitely see the numbers going down. We have ships that are able to call on, that should be calling on Belize, but can't because they can't dock, and the cruise lines, is somewhere around 9,000-10,000 passengers plus 3,000 crew. If you have two of those ships docked in harbor one day, you understand
Yeah.
You imagine the
chaos,
economic
right?
stimulus as well in terms of money
Yes,
to be made.
agreed. And so it is urgent that we get at least a docking facility so that we can accommodate those bigger class ships.
Well, let's go back a bit. As I asked earlier, yourself and Chris Koyi have been tasked with negotiating or working with, if I could use that description, with Portico, Royal Caribbean, and all of those parties that are involved with the definitive agreement. Have you guys begun that discussion, or where are we with that?
Well, inside of Belize, we have, and we've started to dissect the definitive agreement, just to say this can't work, this can work. Yeah. And our goal is to, I believe, the recommendation on the table right now is for us to tear up the original definitive agreement and have a new agreement.
Are the parties amenable to that? I mean, it's like if you and I have a contract, regardless of how that contract came into being prior to someone else looking at it and say, well, hey, this doesn't seem to be legit. Do we simply say, okay, well, let's discard this? If the terms of that contract may be beneficial to either of us?
The information that I'm getting right now is that they are going to be willing to renegotiate and start from scratch.
How do you look at this as the Minister of Tourism, considering the fact that this is sort of like a golden egg? The industry is sort of like a golden egg, but then this ongoing situation sort of casts a black eye on everything. How do you look at it?
Well, firstly, just take into consideration, I have no dealings other than being a member in cabinet for the approval or denial of any port facility.
Yeah.
Our responsibility in the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations is to bring ships to Belize in a sustainable way. And so, for me, when I look at it as Minister of Tourism, not Minister of Cruise or Minister of any sector. And if you look at the revenue breakdown for tourism, you will see that overnight tourism generates about 85% of the revenues, while cruise about 15%. And so the disparity between those two is large. And so my main focus is on overnight. That is the lifeblood of the industry. And we have to be careful that we don't diminish the visitor experience from the overnight people who come here, who are largely, a large pool of them is from
cruise.
From high economic bracket, highly educated, and so they want an immersive experience, they want a life-fulfilling experience. And so when you have all this noise, all it does is creates a turmoil around the brand Belize, that it's always chaos there, it's not good for doing business. And we've signaled to the world that we're open for business. It's not going to be business as usual, that the rule of law is going to prevail, that contracts are going to be respected. And those are the things that we're trying to project to the world to say, yeah, come and invest in Belize, not only in tourism, but other aspects that we believe that could provide a good path for the investors.
How do you see the state of affairs in tourism at present? We have numbers that are going up, we have arrivals and so on and so forth. Where are we perhaps in 2023 as compared to previous years?
I just took a look at the numbers and we did a presentation for both major associations in terms of the numbers. For the first 4 months, we are about 92% of where we were in 2019 for overnight, and we're about 65%. But we believe that by the end of the year, for cruise, we'll catch up to about 85-90%. Again, some of the larger ships are already bypassing Belize, and so we can see a tapering off or a dip in the numbers there.
I want to touch on other innovative ways that you have tried to shape the tourism industry, and that has to do with music. I know that music is something that you also, it's dear to you as well. But last year you created the Music and Food Festival here in Belize, and we saw how successful that was. Let's talk about why you saw it fit to also put music as a part of the marketing product Belize has to offer.
To me, our culture and our diversity, those things are very important to the tourism product. If you look at all the surveys that we do, the experiencing culture, food, music, those things play a crucial role in why people come to Belize. And so we decided, after looking around the Caribbean and all over the world, we decided that during the slower part of the season, we wanted to start to build this. But if you ask the people from St. Lucia, it took them around 10 to 15 years to really build their music festival and their jazz festival into an international. Same with other parts of the world. Why do you think Carnival is the biggest thing in February for Trinidad and other countries in the Caribbean, because these things draw people. People want to have a good experience. They want to enjoy life, and so that's what, like the song, when music hits, you feel no pain, right?
Yeah.
How do you look at the upcoming event versus what was executed last year? And I know that because it may have been the first of its kind for Belize, there was public scrutiny in respect of how you went about doing that program, so to speak.
Yeah.
How do you look at it this time around?
Well, I mean, we have 1 year of experience behind us. We have a little ways to go in terms of where we want to reach in the overall planning. So as we continue to build it, there are other aspects we want to include. We want to include some jazz. We want to include some gospel as we move along. So it was too short to implement this time.
Yeah.
Just from looking at that gospel concert in BTL Park and the crowd and the following is, and if you have that acceptance in your country, then you can sell it international, because word of mouth is important. And so we want to continue to evolve the music and food festival, and we want to ensure that we can compete with all the other international music festivals that are held around the world. We want it to be high level. This year, from what I see, there are some good aspects of it that will create a wow effect. From the minute you walk into the compound, we want to give you that immersive experience into tourism, into Belize, creating this tunnel-like atmosphere where you can see the rainforest, the reef, and all sorts of stuff. So there's some exciting things coming, and I think that the diversity of the people who are going to be performing locally and international will make a big difference.
I think what is equally interesting are the preliminary events that you guys are having leading up to the International Music Festival.
So we want to get the entire country involved. And so if you have artists from all over the country having a fair chance of getting up there, then there will be some excitement locally, because your boy, your girl, fine, will be performing at the music festival.
At the final one. What I also really appreciated in last year's music festival was that you were very transparent about the budget that was involved to have this event that was one of its kind. This time around, knowing that it's bigger and we're expecting a lot more, are you able to share what that budget looks like?
I believe it's going to be somewhere around 1.1 million.
Oh, wow.
No, I'll put this into perspective. I was in New York last week for Caribbean Tourism Week. That's held by the Caribbean Tourism Organization. And there's a ministerial council that meet once a quarter to discuss issues in the Caribbean. This one was huge on sargassum, and we want to take a regional approach to addressing some of the issues that we are confronted with regards to sargassum. But I sat during lunch, I sat with the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism for St. Lucia. And I said, Minister, I said, how much money on to spend for jazz festival this year? And say, well, we're just really coming back, but we spent, I'll put it in Belize dollars, about 13 million. That's just from the government side. 13 million Belize dollars to have a 8 or 10 day event. So I just want, these things aren't cheap,
some context.
but he said the economic impact and the arrivals for tourism for them is crucial. And I said, well, I spent probably about 500,000 US, and I was dragged over the coals by the media and other quarters in Belize. And he said, I said, I'm crazy. No, I know they call him crazy, or I know they call anybody crazy. I'm just giving you his perspective from an island that has been doing it for many, many years. Why do you think there are more music festivals and carnivals and stuff all over the world? I think basic things like the Lobster Fest can go international. the Mango Fest that was done in Hopkins, the Cacao Fest that I was a part of just recently. All of these things, the Ruta Maya, even cross country, I believe we can internationalize it. And all of those things help to build the name out there of Belize and help to build our brand. That's why we invested, there was a question posed to me the other day, why you guys invest in so many things outside of the normal. I believe in a guerrilla marketing strategy. So with smaller budgets, you have to be creative. So when we invested in the robotics team to go to Europe to participate in that and a one goal, what do you think? Or this?
It's a good look for the country, and of course, it's a draw for tourism.
Or all our young athletes who just came back with gold and other medals from the games. Whenever you hear Belize out there, still a lot of people don't know where we are, what we're about, and what we have to offer. I went to Atlanta for a diaspora trip the other day, and I don't usually have protocol, but the lady coordinating had protocol walk us through, and all the immigration and custom officers were asking, I hear about Belize, I want to go. How far is it? About 7 hours, 8 hours flight, 2 hours and 20 minutes we just took with a good tailwind, right? And so we have to use every opportunity in a positive way, not the mess that cruise has created for us, to ensure that we continue to build our name out there in a good way.
You know, I want to know as well what it's like getting these international artists to be a part of the music festival here that we're preparing for. I saw some very popular names as headliners, and one of them is actually Rotimi, which is known internationally. He's an actor as well. What was his reaction to performing here in Belize or visiting Belize?
Well, they're always excited to come to a new destination, especially for an event like this. And so they're professionals. It's about business for them. And we treat it the same way. You come do your thing as the best as you can, and hopefully you will help to spread the name Belize. Wow, I went there, they took me to Alton Harris and Antonich or Blue Hole or somewhere, right? And they'll spread it. They have a following, especially a lot of them are influencers, and in this day and age that is important. But
you know, another area that I was also impressed in under your ministry is how you were able to have influencers come to Belize to just market their time here. Can you talk about how you were able to establish that as a marketing tool?
Well, that's the trend in the world today. People from all walks of life have influence on what people want to do and perceive life to be. And so influencers play a role. But for us, there are a lot of other initiatives that we do that are as impactful as having influencers. You have to pick the right influencer, and the trends are showing that what they call them micro-influencers now are the ones that are more efficient and more effective in spreading. So maybe some of the big names, while people out there may make noise, they're not as effective as some of the micro-influencers in having impact on a person's decision to do whatever, buy something at Walmart or coming to Belize for a vacation or for business.
I want to go in a slightly different direction. Last week we announced that JetBlue will begin servicing Belize in the months ahead. Perhaps you may want to discuss that a bit in terms of what it takes to get all of these carriers to start flying to Belize. I know it's perhaps one of those jobs where you're constantly out there discussing with the airlines and see what works and what can't work in terms of traffic to Belize.
Well, from day one, we've said and we understand that airlift into a leisure destination like Belize is the lifeblood of the industry. That coupled and in parallel with the development of hotels, and so quality hotel rooms. And so we have spent a lot of hours traveling the globe, sitting in offices, going to the conferences where airline decision makers are, participating in those conferences at a high level, panels and all sorts of stuff. So putting Belize's name out there and talking to them in their offices, I think is the most effective way. You have that one-on-one. At the conferences, they call it, it's like speed dating. You have 5 minutes move, 5 minutes move, 5 minutes move. And so we have an airline development committee that is spearheaded by Anthony Hunt and our airline advisory group out of New York. And so we have created a strategy on where we want to go and where we want to get to. Where we want to go and how we'll get there. And like I said, we've spent a tremendous amount of time talking to the decision makers and coming to Belize. We had to do so from scratch pretty much because most of the legacy carriers were not coming back as yet, and so we had to talk to them. We had to talk to Southwest, we had to talk to WestJet, we had to talk to Air Canada, we had to talk to a lot of them, American in their offices. And now we are putting a serious strategy on the table for us to be able to get that first European carrier. JetBlue is going to be an important partner for us as we move. You are talking about 3 times a week, starting December 6th, I believe, and it is going to be year-round. And so that is good news for us. A lot of the partners that we have right now only come during the high season. So this year-round capacity that we're adding right now for the country is going to be great. New York is an important market for us, and so we're doing a lot of work in there.
And with having more airlines partnering with us, we're also seeing the expanding of our airport. Let's talk about that investment that we're making.
It's about time, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. But let's talk about
all these airlines coming to a fairly small airport.
Well, not only on a small airport, but during a small window, and that is the problem, right?
I mean, I'm looking forward to hopefully having a tube for once. You know, walking through the tube to the plane.
I hope they have that.
But yeah,
we have a lot of rain during a certain period of time, and it's difficult to get off those airplanes when it's raining a lot. When you have this brutal heat that we're experiencing right now, it's difficult to be outside if you come from North America where you're used to AC all the time. And so we want, for us, like the borders and like other areas of Belize, that is the first experience that, first and last experience that a tourist or a business person would get when they come to the country. And so we want it to be as optimal as possible, as high level as possible. And so BACT has agreed to invest close to $250 million in modernizing and uplifting the airport. I'm excited about that project. That's one of them that I have advocated for from day one. I've called them out. And they've been good partners in terms of listening and having an open and sober discussion. I have met with the board, I think, on 2 occasions, and I'll do so again soon with Minister Andrew Pierce. So we go as a team to talk to them.
Have you guys established when the project will be going? Has it already begun?
If you go there, you'll see some works starting with a new road that is being
I saw
built.
that, yes.
The problem is that the airport has limited lands for it to expand. And so we had to go through an entire negotiation process with BL to buy that land, for BACT to buy that land, or government to buy the land, I should say, not BACT, to buy the land adjacent to it.
To expand, So how long do you think it
Well,
take?
Airport developments take time. If you go to any major airport and they're having
always
a project,
building.
you're always building, right? Because more and more people travel. But like when I went to Dubai and I spoke to those people over there, with a strategy, they built a very efficient, modern airport, and now they're rivaling Heathrow and LaGuardia and all those big airports with, I think they get about 90 million people passing through that airport. So it does play a crucial role in, like I said, the advancement of tourism overall.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to our initial conversation where we were discussing cruise tourism. So you have a scenario where you have 3 major competitors that are going head to head for the Belize District Harbor. You have Stake Bank, you have Port Magical, and to an extent you still have Port of Belize, Waterloo in the
mix.
whole mix. Yes. But it would seem as if though Stake Bank is at somewhat of a standstill. A lot of work has been put into developing the island, but it would seem as if though there's still a ways to go before it actually materializes. And there still is no word on whether or not a causeway will be granted for them to build that direct connection from island to mainland. Talk to us a bit about that.
Well, like I said, we really need Stake Bank to be completed for us to be able to compete in the short to medium term. With or without the causeway, some docking facility here in the Belize district will play a crucial role in growing the numbers in a sustainable way. And like I keep saying that it has to be in a sustainable way. And so you have to really ask the developers and the financing organization, or the primary financing organization for Stake Bank, what is happening. The developers have said they are open 2021, 2022, 2023. I don't see it, but I hope they can prove me wrong. We have done everything possible as a government to ensure that Stake Bank can open for business. It is important, like I said, in the short to medium term, and even in the long term as we develop tourism here in Belize.
The challenge, however, is the fact that many of the large carriers are no longer interested in tendering. And in a scenario where you don't have a causeway to effectively transport people from the quay to Belize City proper, then in effect you're still having to ferry people by tender.
But when I say that, they say I am speaking on behalf of another developer. So anything I say, they want to throw dirt or when I say throw shade. But I look at it soberly as the Minister of Tourism again. So if the lines are saying that they don't want to tender, the causeway is important. You need to find financing for that component of the project that I believe would cost somewhere around $125 million. You're already here at I think about 150 by the time you're finished or more. So you have to find another 125 to 100. Imagine you have all the financing and you start and you have this piece of bridge in the middle of the sea and it's incomplete. That is my problem with that component. As long as they could show me the full financing is available for them to complete it, then again, is that the best situation, building a bridge through into Belize City? But it's done all over the world, Panama, Florida.
Florida Keys.
Yeah, Florida Keys, you have the causeways, and it's beautiful, no? And then you have Port of Magical, that I truly, and I've said this to the principals, I truly didn't take it seriously, but they have gotten to a point that now I'm taking it seriously.
What would have been your reason for not taking it seriously?
Well, I think the project was too big.
Too ambitious in its scale.
Yes, in scale, because 350 million is only for the cruise component. You have a hotel development in the property as well, on the property. And so I just thought it was too big. But just maybe 3 weeks ago, NASA inaugurated a $350 million port there as well. Now, Belize is a little bit different from the Bahamas because of its proximity to the U.S. You can have 3-day itineraries and that type of thing. We're a long itinerary, and so we're a little bit different. But I've spoken to Boscalis, I've spoken to Royal Caribbean, and they're dead serious about completing this project. And so we have to listen. I think cruise provides an opportunity for small operators and small vendors to be able to earn a decent living, because you have the numbers coming in. Just like all the sites and attractions, you need the cruise traffic to sustain them over time, because that helps, no, in terms of the entrance fees and all the other things that you can generate off it.
What would your thoughts have been on the Port of Belize expansion project, that it would have included a cruise terminal? Because then we're looking at job creation for a part of Belize City that is perhaps economically depressed. It gives people an opportunity to work, earn money, and improve the social standards of that community.
Well, I think part of their problem is crossing and overcoming the environmental hurdle. And like I've said, you have smart enough business people for those three developments that can make the right decision. So right now it's a game between, I believe, Waterloo and Portico for who is going to be next. You have Stake Bank there already, maybe half or 3/4 ways, and so they're out the gate already. So if they start from now, they will have, in, like I said, in the short term, medium term, they're ahead of the game. But if you look at the other two ports, which one is going to be built first, right? And so it is important for the principals of Waterloo to ensure that the Portico development is stalled and slowed, and it has chaos around it, because international investors don't like chaos. They like stability, they like soberness, they like something to be organized. And right now the environment in Belize is chaotic and wild.
Has this issue divided cabinet, in your opinion?
No, absolutely not. There's no, I mean, what do you expect the opposition to say? There are cracks in the British government, there's mutiny. There was a sober discussion. I have taken papers to cabinet that they say, okay, hold up, we can't do this, go and come again. And that has happened in so many instances whereby we ventilate armor. If you watch the number of papers that we have brought to cabinet compared to the previous administration, tremendous amount of discussion. I dread reading the cabinet papers tonight and tomorrow, because when I look through my email, I just say
long list.
A long list, no?
I wanna touch on something that you mentioned, which was the economic situation and the ways that tourism has been helping small business persons. I believe the government has established a task force that would deal with the cost of living, to which you are a part of. Could you talk about your involvement in that task force and how you intend to work to help us?
Well, my colleagues will tell you that I have been a huge advocate for us to deal with this issue for a long time. I used to take, in front of all our positions in cabinet, there's a mic, right? So that you can speak. And I used to, every cabinet, I used to take Lala milk, 1, 2, 3 aisle, ramen. And I said, if you don't continue to mess with me, I will bring my plywood and a piece of zinc in there, just for show how much, and it's a serious thing. That is the #1 issue, I think, affecting the quality of life here in Belize at the moment. It's a cost of living. I mean, I've spoken to nurses, teachers, people who are working hard and grinding day in and day out, and they're struggling to make ends meet. Now, a lot of the inflation we are importing into the country. I think we import maybe $2 billion worth of goods, and we export 500 million. So you have a discrepancy of $1.5 billion, and I just want people to think about those numbers. We don't have to import so much. We can, I believe, produce 80% of what, close to 80% of what we can consume in this country.
What makes it worse, though, is the fact that you have merchants and businesses that are seemingly hell-bent on price gouging. I know that there was also a task force that was put together to look at ways that they could address this issue. Where are we with that? I mean, from a government perspective, has that proven effective?
Well, it's going to be take some time for the wheels to turn and for it to be effective. But from what I've heard, they've already caught a retailer, and I guess they're going to make that entity there an example.
My final question, Minister, and this is from a political or constituency point of view here. The project on Mahogany Street, I know you've been chiefly behind getting all of those stalls built and what have you. Where are we with that project?
We're about, I'd say about 50 or 60% complete. We want to complete the entire Mahogany Street. It has taken some time dealing with BL. It has taken some time putting in water, access for those people. We had about 29 booths out there, and only 2 of them had running water, and many of them are selling food. I think that is important. You have clean running water when you're selling food. And so it's a total upliftment of the area, similarly to Berger Field, that has transformed that area already. And that's what Plan Belize is all about, transforming Belize. Now, I really don't want people to forget that the first year and a half, 2 of the PUP, John Briceño administration, we were under COVID. The last administration only spent like 8 months, 9 months during COVID. And so for us, when I got in as Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, there was little or no tourism at all. So we had to lay the foundation. We had to build it step by step to get back to where we are today. And it has taken some time, a lot of effort by the private sector and the public sector working in tandem to ensure that this very important industry is rebuilt in the right way. You see, the previous administration, I don't think, had any clue of what it takes to build a tourism industry. Yes, you had organic growth, but that's happening all over the world. But we still have destinations without proper water supply. We still have destinations without proper electricity supply. We still have destinations without proper sewer system. You still have destinations without proper health care facilities. So how can you have 350,000 people going on San Pedro and you don't have a quality hospital? That people, when they travel, they still want peace of mind, right? You don't have proper garbage trucks to pick up the garbage in some of these destinations. You don't have proper security. You don't have proper, so a lot of the fundamentals have been flawed. We have a great number of assets and the diversity of our people that we can monetize and that we can compete significantly and on a real scale internationally. But there are so many things that we have to improve to ensure that we get where we get to. And we still have many roads to sites and attractions that are incomplete. Now, if you go to Hopkins, as we got in, we paved most of the road, the main road in Hopkins. That has transformed that village, and we're going to do the final, I think, 3/4 mile, and that should be starting within the next week or so. Work closer with the Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing to get these projects done at the highest level, because they have the experience in that.
And that's how we were able to see Hopkins Fest, Hopkins Mango Fest as well, you know, with the streets.
And again, so I don't forget, we still don't have enough of the labor pool. Because the BPO sector is growing so fast, a lot of people are moving there, because during the slow season, many of the properties and tourism investments would say, I want to close down for October, but those people still have their mortgages to pay, they have bills to pay, so they're moving to other sectors. We see that as a crucial issue And so by October, we should be inaugurating our first tourism academy in partnership with the Florida International University for us to be able to train frontline people, to be able to train managers to be in these operations and be driving force behind many of these investments in the country. So I'm truly excited about that, and I can't wait for that to open.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Minister Mahler, for sharing the updates of the tourism industry with us and the viewers. We appreciate the information, and we look forward to seeing what next comes under your administration and your work. All right. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by representatives of the City Council to talk to us about property tax. Don't go away.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Come on!
When hungry or craving, when laughter or tears, enjoy the best snacking or flavors are here. Asadas, bocadas, chiladas, doradas, delicious for snacking, done right and done here.
Done right, done here.
My name is Wilmer De La Rosa from Santa Elena Town. I am currently a student at Cayo, set for employment training. Enrolled in the electrical installation program. In late July 2021, I got a confirmation that I was a successful applicant and would be granted a scholarship from Social Security Board. It was one of the proudest moments for me. I felt very excited to start this new path in my life. So far on my journey as a Social Security Board scholar, my vocational technical scholarship has assisted me in achieving my life goals in so many ways. For one, it has renewed sense of purpose, another chance at professional development, and a start at a new career. This opportunity has paved the way for me to excel in life as an individual and as a member of society. Great things are coming after I graduate from SET. I can promise you that. Applying for a vocational technical scholarship through the Social Security Board is simple and easy. I would advise young people in need to apply. It is possible to create a fulfilling and fruitful life with a Social Security scholarship. Believe in yourself and your abilities and skills. I always say the key is to always keep an open mind and let your determination be your motivation.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5 Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Dwayne Moody
Isani Cayetano, Marian Ali, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 police teams do whatever it takes, go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 believes on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, because news is now everywhere, all the time, and so are we.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
All right, welcome back, and we're having our second conversation of the morning, and we have with us two representatives from the Belize City Council. We have with us Troy Smith. He is the valuation manager of the Belize City Council, as well as Frank Thompson. He is the revenue manager of the Belize City Council. And the conversation this morning is all about land tax, property tax.
Property tax.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
All right, well, let's get things started. We know that land tax is an issue for a lot of people, but especially for the Belize City Council, because the issue is people aren't paying.
Yeah.
And as a result, you guys aren't creating any money. Monies aren't being generated. Let's talk about that issue. Let's start there first.
Well, let me, first of all, let me give an overview. Belize City, in our view, have about 25,000 survey properties, right? So far, we registered over 16,000 for tax purpose, all right, which give us about over 10 million current per year. We use a formula that we call the construction method, because in Belize, we talk about the law talk about rental value and market value. For example, if a property is occupied, it's based on the rental value, which is 10% rate by law. If it's unoccupied, it is 2% of the value of that property. So now what we do, new construction within Belize, we try to find the market value to get the rental value. And that formula is so accurate because in 2016, the Ministry of Local Government have done a mass training for all valuers within the Belize City country, I believe, with all valuators, to look at one central formula, because the agreement got a different way how to approach the assessment versus PG versus San Pedro. So we try centralize the database and the actual best practice within the Caribbean. And so by saying that, the Belize City Council realized that on the tax system we have a huge amount of arrears, unpaid taxes. And you may know, for one to the property tax is number one revenue earner for the Belize City Council. But for the council to provide the essential services, it must get its revenue. Another time, when we do our cost analysis, one street might have $110,000 assessment, but only 1% is being paid. But the same street, people want drain, they want cement street, they want walkway, but the council cannot provide if the tax is not being paid. So the council is not a profit margin organization, it's a revenue generated organization. And people want so much service, but again, some people don't want to pay the taxes.
And let's be honest, this is an issue that has years of people not paying taxes. It's not just 1 year.
Correct.
Are you able to give an idea of perhaps how long some properties have not been paid as it relates to taxes?
Yeah, there are some for 15 years. And not of an effort of trying to reach them. Let me say why we're here today, because for that same concern, there are a lot of accounts on the tax base where we got absentee owners, where a lot of dynamics have been changed over the years for that property, where we have no contact, no email. And that's why I know the City Council embarked on these 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, this property tax clinic. What is the purpose of it? 10 different things we want to address. One is the issue of change of ownership. This concept of Bemopan change the name to the council should have known, or should have the information. No. The law provides that once you become the new owner of a property, you, the new owner, must notify the local authority within 30 days. People don't know this. People believe that it should be automatic from lands to city council. Next issue that we want to address at the clinic is the issue of cancellation of lease. Every single day lease have been cancelled at the lands department, but the city council has the previous leaseholder name.
Yeah.
Let me strike something here. This misconception of only when we become the owner, I must go to city council. No. The law speaks about under section 4. Once you become the owner of a leased property, you are liable to taxation. This concept of until I become the owner, then I will go to city council. No, that's not legal. Section 4 speaks as the date of preemption, while so once you become the leasing owner, you are taxable by law. And so we have this issue where lease have been cancelled, the city council don't know, and we continue to bill you when he's become the new owner. All right? And so when the people come in and bring this type of information to us, because we are doing a data cleansing in the system, where we want to identify the change that was made from lands and then bring it to city council. Next issue, mutation. Every day property has been surveyed, mutated, and assigned new parcel number. Our system have the old parcel number. So we encourage people to come into city council.
To update their information.
Yeah, information.
All right, let's move things over to Frank. You are the revenue manager over at the Belize City Council. Let's talk about your role in this current initiative of dealing with property taxes in Belize City.
Okay. Well, in regards to this initiative, we're trying to get those that have arrears to come in and try to make some kind of arrangement to settle the taxes. Because apart from this, the other initiative is a follow-up of this one in dealing with those abandoned properties, those overgrown lots. Because if we look at the tax system, you'll see maybe like 70–75% of the people pay consistently. It's that small percentage, that 25%, that don't pay, and that accumulates over 15 years. It builds.
Yeah.
And so with interest accumulating as well, you'll say maybe $30 million outstanding, but it's only for a small portion of the properties.
Yeah.
When we look, sorry, go ahead.
So because of that, now we're trying to find a new initiative to address these properties and try and see if we can reduce that outstanding balance.
When we look at property tax being the primary revenue generator for the Belize City Council, and you look at the fact that perhaps this goes in a cyclical form, where there's a period where people are paying their taxes and what have you, and then there's a lull. How is the City Council able to float its expenditure and deal with other initiatives when you have a public that is not necessarily up to scratch with its taxes?
Okay. Well, in that we have become kind of expert in that when we collect the mass, we try and put away that we could spend it over the period of time to hold us in a, what we call a low period, no?
Basically, you guys have to save for the rainy season when people don't pay.
Yes.
You know, I'm curious. We obviously, we have to pay our taxes for land. Is there a point where the government would say, okay, you haven't been paying for this amount of time, we're going to warn you that we could potentially take back your land? Is that a thing?
It's not take back. At the city council level, we auction properties.
Okay.
Which is our last resort. We try to do, as a due diligence, try to go on Facebook, the website, to try to find you. And we put it in the newspaper, publish your name. And so it's a length of time to do that.
Would that be the case of an abandoned lot or abandoned property, or also for persons living on the land?
Yeah. Basically, when it comes to occupied property, we try not to go to the extent of selling, but the law provides for garnishing. And so because sometimes the market value is greater than the tax, and so the court now allow you to sell a property value $1 million for $5,000 a tax. And so you can do another way where you garnish maybe get your stove, your TV, your sofa, and sell it to pay the tax. That's in the law.
Okay.
But these are things that we try not to go to the extreme unless we have to. But we try to do the 3E. We try to engage, educate, then enforce. The last we want to enforce. So we have this mantra that if we could engage with you and educate you, there's no need for enforce because you understand what next. But there is provision in the law that we can sell your property to recover the taxes. All right. I could say over the years we sell a lot of properties by public action, tremendously in the area of public response. We get a huge amount of response to that. But again, that's not the mandate of the council. It's about compliance. It's about paying your tax and get the city up and running. And so there is provision. But in the area of land department, though, where you don't pay your land tax, they can cancel your leasee holder. When it comes to occupied title property lands, don't cancel. But there's a provision in the law that they call it public acquisition. They can take back the land for public use. So there is provision in the law to enforce, all right? Which again, our thing is not about
that's not the goal.
It's about getting people online with the council, pay your tax. Then there are many revenue streams to pay. Online, with this clinic, we will have parking, free parking at the city council. And then when you come, we want ticket purpose. When you come, you show that you come to the clinic, you get it free. Because the issue is downtown, no parking. And so people say, but you tell me come down the downtown city hall, but no parking, right? But there is a provision for that. I want to highlight the issue of register your property. There are over, in our books, 3,000 properties thereabout that are not registered on the tax roll for many reasons. One is the issue of estate issue. One is the issue of title dispute within the community. Next issue is encroachment and occupying, displacement of owners. So there's many issues within the city, and so the Belize City Council take initiative to work with the Ministry of Lands and try to, through our GIS platform, how we could centralize the data within the system in real time. Because we find we're losing a lot of money every day when you're not coming in to register your property. And there is provision for us to do it. All right, but we love to engage. We want to educate and get the tax system up and running.
So that's a part of what the tax clinic will be aiming to achieve.
Do you have an idea of how much money is out there, perhaps, that is yet to be collected? We're talking a backlog of taxes that are unpaid.
Well, right now the system shows about approximately 30 million. But like I said, with the data that he has being incorrect, there's probably maybe a third of that needs to get written off. Because then...
That are uncollectible.
Yeah.
Because they're abandoned?
Well, probably like they don't exist. For example, like in certain areas where they go and squat.
Okay.
Then a lot is supposed to be there, but because they squat, the street goes through a lot, so that lot doesn't exist.
Gotcha.
So like those kinds of issues that we have.
Okay. So let's present a situation. I am a landowner, and I show up at the land clinic to try to get my affairs in order. I have not been able to pay my taxes, nor do I have the money to pay the taxes because of cost of living, whatever the excuse is. What can we do to work together?
There is, once you come to the clinic and we understand your financial economic situation, we try to work with you, all right? But you cannot be exempt from taxes. But we try to work with you. Sometimes deal with payment plans.
Okay.
All right, we got consent, we got a quota, make a payment every single month or every week. So there's a provision, there's an open area where we could tell you, come in and talk to us. The issue is people not coming in. So I don't know your situation. So if you come into us, we can work with you, all right? But you cannot get street if you don't pay your tax, man. This issue of, I want this, you got to put in something into the kitty. The kitty is a central fund. And so this is the type of where we want to engage with city residents to understand their needs. There is provision in the law that where a person become, what we call, cannot afford to
indigent.
Indigence. The law provides that you come in and say the council go write the Ministry of Government to the minister to look at your financial background. We do an investigation, and there's a provision for some consideration. It's in the law. But if you come in and talk to us, we can find a way to work with you. And that is all about the clinic. to engage with city residents to see how we could work together for one common good to achieve the common good to get the city up and running.
Yeah.
And then the issue with some people is that they're of the misconception, well, I have a mortgage on my property, so you can't touch me. But it's not so. According to the law, property taxes come first, before your mortgage, before your everything else. That's
so
the first priority.
You could still auction my land if I pay a mortgage.
Yes, and we have done it.
Yikes. Yikes. Let's talk about that then. In the cases that you guys would be auctioning abandoned lots, is it something that we know that when it's auctioned, it's who has the highest bid, but can someone just perhaps purchase a piece of abandoned property that's lying in Belize City?
No, in the Belize City Council Act, it must be a public action.
Okay.
It must be transparent. What we're doing now, we're doing it live through our Facebook and live streaming.
Okay.
So even with the diaspora, they could tap into the type of sale and try to do their bid, all right? Because the diaspora have an issue where things happen in the city or the country and they don't know. And so they may have a meeting a couple of years ago in LA, a town meeting, and the diaspora speak about this. May engage us, man. We want to know what happened. We want to buy too. And so what we start to do now, since this year, we start to put everything virtual, everything live. And so you could bid. You got somebody out there to bid for you. Once you win the bid, you put your 10% and 14 days to put the balance down. And then the city council provides all the service. We do the transfer your period stamp duty. We get a title, we call you, come for your title at the council, and we give it into your hand. So everything we do. So it's just go down, purchase, and you win the bid. Everything is up to the council to facilitate the process. It's a good avenue. This forum come June 20 at the Civic Center to look at several issues. The current issue we have with abandoned properties, the legal perspective, all right, of that, and then the issue of the other one is the City Council Action Plan. How we address these abandoned properties within Belize City, because there's too much of them. They create nuisance to our community. They become the value properties within the area. And so yes, we understand they are absentee owners. We understand they might can't pay. The idea is to how we need to address these issues to clean up the city of these rodents and this hotspot, because you may know a couple of years ago, it costs the council a huge amount of revenue to clean up the hotspots at night, because we have a night shift also. And it costs us a lot of money. And so we're trying to get this forum to which everybody come in and give them to say, we hear from you, hear from us, what is our plan, and you could give your recommendation and we come together and we go forward. That's the idea of the public forum. But we look at the legal part though, because the issue of action, the issue of selling the properties on site, there's many ways to do it, but everything has to go through a legal framework.
Yes,
and I think that is why we're looking at this forum to give an idea, because what happens currently, the process to get to auction, especially for those empty and abandoned lots, it's very lengthy. So if we start now, it might take maybe a year before we get to the actual auction. Yeah.
Wow. I'm interested to know, when it comes to online auctioning, you're playing against technology though. What if my internet is slow this time and somebody else auction ahead?
No, when I said online auction, I means that the auction is live on the ground.
Okay.
But you could view.
Okay.
All right. It's a virtual auction, but you have a bid, so you have to send someone on the
Got
site.
you. Oh, I was wondering.
You see it, but then you got people on there telling buy carry up for 5,000 more. So the idea is not online bidding, but it's online awareness, so you could sell this aware. You say live,
okay,
where the value is, and you could put in more.
But okay, all right, got you. All right. Well, do you guys have any other information as it relates to the clinic and what the viewers should know when it comes to property taxes?
Yeah, I just want to encourage property when we have property tax dispute, property tax issues. These are the 2 days for us to meet with you and address these issues as quick as possible. The issue of probate, where the person when the property died. We want to also tell you there's a process how to deal with that. The issue of encroachment, the issue of the reassessment process. So there's a wide spectrum of issues that we want to address when it comes to the property tax clinic. And then with the public forum, property tax abandoned properties come in, man. And if you got a property abandoned, bring your issues to us.
Yeah.
This is where we are, and we are trying to open the actual corridor for you to engage with your city council and the tax process.
And we could stop blame city council for not have a street space.
There we go.
Right.
And any last words from you, Mr. Thompson?
As a revenue manager, I would encourage people to take civic pride, come in, keep the place clean, because even that costs if you're not paying and I still have to pay someone to clean. I mean, try to keep the city clean, wash your lots, and make an effort to come and settle the taxes, and we will work with you.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for the information. And just to remind the viewers, the clinic is June 20th. Parking is free.
The forum is June 20th.
What did I say?
The clinic is Wednesday and Thursday of this week.
Okay. Wednesday and Thursday of this week, and the forum is June 30th. Parking is free, and go on and settle any information that you feel like you need to know or that you're not aware of. Go and meet with the representatives from the City Council.
It will be downstairs at the hub.
Downstairs at the hub. All right. Thank you guys so much. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, it's all about hurricane preparation. We're in June, so you know what that means. Don't go away.
With eCash, bill payment is extremely convenient, and all utility companies accept eCash payments. What's even better? You get to split bills with your roommates, siblings, or whoever you desire. Simply open your eCash app, go to Bill Pay, tap the respective utility company, enter the information, and pay the bill. Then tap the transaction made. Tap Split the bill. Select Evenly. Send the request to who you are splitting the bill with, and get notified when they pay. Talk about making life easy and avoiding confusion. You can split the bill for restaurants, grocery stores, and for any eCash payment you make. To find your next yummy meal, hair treatment, or chill spot, simply open the app and utilize the geolocation service to see nearby businesses that accept eCash. Geolocation and bill payment make life a whole lot easier.
Ay, Frip, creo que el 22 va a jugar hoy. ¿Qué piensas?
Güey, ¿tú crees? Toma, 24. ¿Qué piensas tú?
En Belize tenemos el rice and beans, el chips and dips, el bolillo de la lotería dominicana. Es difícil explicar, pero esas cosas forman parte de nuestra identidad como beliceños. Mientras muchos de nosotros disfrutábamos del bolillo de vez en cuando, una compañía tenía 100% de derecho a la propiedad. Ahora, no hay nada de malo ser propietario de un negocio. Pero cuando se trata de nuestro bolillo, no puedes informar sobre ventas o ganancias basando tus sentimientos. No puedes adultar las máquinas cuando te da la gana. No puedes esconder nuestro registro bajo el colchón. No, man. Ahora que el bolillo de la lotería de domingo volverán a ser nuestro, podremos disfrutar y obtener todos sus beneficios. Eso es doble ganancia.
Smart introduces Real Unlimited Postpaid Plans, providing customers with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data. Now that's a real great deal. With Smart Plus, Share 1 and 2, and Enterprise 1 and 2 plans, you can talk as much as you want, text as much as you want, and for the first time ever in Belize, you can enjoy unlimited data with your postpaid plan. So come in and sign up for an unlimited postpaid plan and enjoy limitless possibilities. In addition, other plans such as the Flex Junior, Choice, and Select have been boosted with a lot more talk, text, and data, providing you with the best value for your budget. Be unlimited with Smart. It's time to power your dollar with Smart.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase increase traffic to your website and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5 Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And we are back with our third and final segment for the morning, and it's all about preparation for a hurricane. We are joined by Terrence Woodeye, and he is the logistics officer of the Red Cross. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Now, we are in June, and if you're a Belizean, you know what that means. It's the hurricane season, the start of the hurricane season, and the conversation right now is all about the weather and the heat and the possibility of having a lot of storms and hurricanes. But with that comes preparation. And you're here to talk to us about what we should be preparing or how our preparation should look like when it comes to a hurricane. Let's start things off there.
Okay, so good morning once again.
Yeah.
Yes, when it comes to preparation, as a country, we should have been preparing just after Hurricane Lisa last year. But as we know, most families or most of us as Belizeans, we tend to procrastinate and wait last minute to do stuff. There are three phases when it comes to preparation: the before segment, during, and after. So before the disasters hit the country, we need to have things in place, like, for example, do we know where we're going before the hurricane strike in the event we need to evacuate? Do we know what are the routes? Do we have items that we'll need? All this stuff. But what we have been, and this is the annual stuff, annually when hurricane comes, we notice that people, they do last minute shopping, they go, the shelves are almost spilled, and it becomes chaos. But if we take time to step back, and we know hurricane season is 1 year away, we don't have to buy our groceries in a big amount. But I mean, this week you buy 2 can stuff, next week you buy next 2 can until you get your amount of stuff. So preparation takes time. It's a process. It's an ongoing process. But the main thing here, we don't want to wait until the last minute.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, we've seen examples just from last year when we weathered Hurricane Lisa, where persons were almost sheltering in grocery stores because they waited that long, literally when the hurricane was making landfall, to go and buy their canned foods. But as you mentioned, this is something that we should be doing way before,
exactly,
as of the year before even. But aside from canned foods, there are other ways that we should be preparing ourselves for a storm, and that involves our property and also health. Let's talk about that.
When it comes to health, especially for elderly in the home, we need to make sure we have adequate medication. So if we have a stock every month, we buy a certain medication, we need to stock up more, especially for elderly. They are the priority. But we have, and this will help you, we have a family emergency plan booklet, and this tells you everything that you need to be prepared, how you need to be prepared. The family emergency plan. Here in the first page, it has the family name, the surname, it has the mother name, father name, and children. Depending on how much children you have, you want to put their names there.
Okay.
And each person is responsible for something in the household. Like, for example, you could put the father is responsible to purchase the grocery. Maybe the mother is responsible to get all the medication together. One of the child is responsible to take care of the pet. Next one is to get the water. So everyone has a role in this book. It's a very detailed book. It tells you items you'll need to know before the disaster, things you need to do during and after. And this we usually give this out at activities like health fairs, whatever activities. We have our family emergency plan that we usually give out the booklet.
And it's free.
It's free.
Yeah.
It's free. It's free.
Let's go back to what you mentioned earlier in the conversation, Terrence, with the fact that you found that Belizeans are serious procrastinators.
Yes.
We know that during this time of year, the country is exposed or susceptible to natural disasters. And we should all have a hurricane plan in place. While we know this to be true, for some reason or the other, people choose to put things off, prioritize other, finances and what have you. And then a hurricane comes. It's a last-minute scenario where people are scrambling, to either secure their properties or to purchase the necessary items that they need. In your line of work, when you respond to these families and these places in the wake of a disaster, what do you observe? What's your primary observation?
Most families weren't prepared. Food, one of the main items that when we go into the community and after our assessment, because we do our assessment as a team, one of the main priority on that list would be food.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, if you know a disaster is coming, you want to prepare yourself, have food for a couple of days.
Non-perishables.
Non-perishables, canned food, non-perishables. So food is one of the main items. But we have teams that goes out and do assessment, and through the assessment we'll see what the families out there need, But food is one of the main things, which shouldn't be, you should be prepared.
Because depending on where you live and the kinds of conditions that you're living in, certain structural things may be outside of your immediate control.
Exactly.
But things like stocking up on food and first aid kits and what have you should be something that you could gradually build towards in the event of a situation.
Right. We do training, for example, when we're out of season, I would say before the hurricane season, we do a lot of training. We teach a lot about first aid, shelter management, hurricane preparedness. Just last week, I was at Hands in Hand Ministry. They have acquired for me to go and do some training there. So what we did a disaster preparedness training. We have families sat down in different groups in which area they live in, and they do a mapping of the area, their home, the shelters around their home, the stores, evacuation route, the low-lying area. If there's flooding, we need to evacuate these people first. So it's a good training we do. We do several trainings when it comes to that. Right. We also give first aid training as well.
Yeah. When we're thinking about the Red Cross, we think about response to disaster.
Yes.
And we see you guys in action primarily during the hurricane seasons. But let's talk about other areas that you guys work off that season.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it's mostly training. We also have a home care course going on, and we have this course roughly 4 to 5 times per year, which will teach family members how to care for the elderly. It's a certified course.
Yeah.
It's a course that is high in demand, and we have it 4 times per year. Right? That's one of the courses we do. A lot of people don't know that recently we've been having a lot of fires in Belize, a lot of fire victims. We also assist fire victims.
Okay.
Yeah, they would come to Red Cross, they would get a letter from Human Development, come to us, and we give basic items like blankets, water cans, hygiene kit, kitchen set. You give some kits, yeah.
All right.
How are you guys able to, I would presume that you're working closely with the business community in some respects to be able to gather all of these relief items.
Yes, we do have partners. We have a MOU when it comes to, now we do this before disaster again. We'll sit down and we'll go to them, and in the event of a disaster, we'd like to work along with you, like to get food item. We also have, like for example, we don't have a truck, a big truck, a box truck to take out food, so we partner with different entities, like Brothers Habit. We usually partner with them every year, and they're always there assisting us. We work side by side whenever there's a disaster. He sends his truck. We have our volunteers that goes out to the different communities, and sometimes it's out district and in communities to deliver the food item and the different kits that we give to families that have been affected.
I observed that firsthand last year in the wake of Lisa.
Yes.
Where you guys were in the Vista Del Mar area that was directly affected by that weather system.
Yes.
And the fact that indeed the Habet vehicle is right there helping with the movement of the mattresses and what have you.
Yeah, we partner, every year we talk to them, and we always, not only Habet, but we have partner, like for example, as you know, Red Cross is the NEMO is the for the government, but Red Cross we assist NEMO and the government as well. we're auxiliary. That's the word I want.
Yeah.
We're auxiliary to the government of Belize. So yes, we assist them a lot. We do have people, for example, when a disaster is coming to Belize, we have our colleagues from other Red Cross countries that they monitor the system.
Yeah.
And even before the hurricane hits our country, they will come in country, set up EOC and start their planning. So after the disaster, then we go out, we have our teams, we have our volunteers on standby. They'd come in and we get dispatched to a different area to do assessment. We also use, before in the past we used to use paper and pen, but now, you know, with technology move up, we have all the assessment forms in the paper, in the phone, we use Kobo. Yeah.
Everything is digital.
Everything is digital, exactly.
You know, Terrence, when I think about the work that you guys do, as well as other organizations that are responsive to disasters, I really commend you guys, because you too are weathering these disasters. You have family members that are weathering the disasters, but yet you're the ones that are out there responding to persons that may have prepared but have still been heavily impacted by whatever storm. Of course, there are other cases of persons that did not prepare as well. Can you speak about that, the sacrifice that it takes from your teams, when you too have families as well, that you have to leave many times to go and respond to persons that didn't prepare?
Well, that's a very good question. Not only during disaster, but you know, Red Cross we work 24/7, even on the weekends we work. So your family have to understand the type of job you're in and what you do. Sometimes we go out and come in late because of going to the communities, and the time we hold meetings would be only the time they're available, which will be after hours. So especially if we go district, we'd travel back to the city and come in late. And yes, the families have to understand. I mean, my wife, for example, she is a volunteer at Red Cross, so she understands what's going on, and she assists us sometimes. But yes, it takes a lot from the family, but it's just the idea, or just that giving and sharing and helping others. You know, for example, for Hurricane Lisa, the radio says stay in, but I live in St. Martin's Lake, not far from where I live, on Sunflower Street. And it's a good thing that the hurricane hit us during the day that we could have seen. I was inside and I peeped through my window to the back, and I noticed my neighbor all the way to the end, he was on top of his roof. I'm not sure if he's trying to nail down his roof at that time, but at that time you put yourself at risk. So you want to do this thing when you want to do everything that you can before the disaster. Don't wait until the last minute. Myself, my roof were lifting off, but I couldn't go outside and do anything. I just waited till it passed, and then I went out afterwards.
Because your safety comes first.
Safety comes first. You can replace a roof, but a life, you can't replace that. So
I had one final question before we wrap up the conversation here. It's the idea of volunteerism and the fact that you guys work on people who give of their time to be able to reach out and assist the public. Talk about that for this year.
Well, you know, we have a various staff at Red Cross. I can tell you right now, I have roughly 5 person on staff. So our volunteers are the driving force behind Red Cross and Red Cross movement. Without the volunteers, we wouldn't be anywhere today. We have volunteers that comes in on a daily basis every week. They come to see what they have to do, and we call them. We have volunteers with skills. Whenever we need a volunteer, we'd call them and they would go. Like, for example, school is closing recently, but before school closes, we usually have sporting activities. We have 7 volunteers who are fully trained in basic first aid and CPR, and we usually send them out to the different activities in the event of injuries to assist in sporting event and so on. But our volunteers are trained. We make sure that our volunteers are fully trained in whatever we have to offer, because the volunteers are who assist us during disasters. But they are the driving force behind Red Cross.
Just before we wrap things up, I just want to remind the viewers on how they can get a preparedness booklet.
Yes, at the moment I can say that at our office we'll have it in Spanish. We'll try to get some English one, but yes, they can go to Red Cross and just pick up a booklet.
All right. All right. Well, thank you very much, Terrence, for joining us this morning. We appreciate the information, and of course, we know that this is useful for all of us as we are currently in the hurricane season. But still, disaster strikes at any time.
That's true. Climate change.
Exactly.
Everything is changing. And it's always good here have a family first aid kit. We need to make sure that all the families in Belize, and you can make your own kit, you can Google it, contents of a first aid kit, but we do sell a kit as well.
Okay.
But it's very important that each home in Belize have a family first aid kit.
What's the cost of your kit?
We sell it at Belize Red Cross for 170 Belize.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
We are going to take our final break, and when we come back, we wrap things up.
Smart introduces Real Unlimited Postpaid Plans, providing customers with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data. Now that's a real great deal. With Smart Plus, Share 1 and 2, and Enterprise 1 and 2 plans, you can talk as much as you want, text as much as you want, and for the first time ever in Belize, you can enjoy unlimited data with your postpaid plan. So come in and sign up for an unlimited postpaid plan and enjoy limitless possibilities. In addition, other plans such as the Flex Junior, Choice, and Select have been boosted with a lot more talk, text, and data, providing you with the best value for your budget. Be unlimited with Smart.
It's time to power your dollar with Smart.
Just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank contactless MasterCard debit card. Introducing our standard debit and MasterCard Platinum debit cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
And we're back wrapping things up, and we want to say thank you guys so much for sticking with us this morning. We had 3 great conversations, starting things off with tourism. Of course, we had Minister Anthony Mahler, the Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, here with us, talking about updates in the tourism industry, what we can expect, and also things that were done in the past, of course, under his ministry.
Mm-hmm. Our second conversation was, for me, a rather interesting one, considering the fact that, you know, as property owners, we each play a role, a significant role in being up to date with our taxes. Because if we want the City Council to provide certain services, we need to be up to scratch with property taxes and what have you. And the fact that there is $30 or so million out there in revenues that are yet to be collected. Granted, there's a portion that has to be written off, but all of this money is outstanding. you know what you could do with roughly $25 million
Yeah.
in terms of services to the city of Belize.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So that conversation was what I was keenly paying attention to there.
I think the overall message of that conversation to me was that we all have a responsibility in developing our city. Too many times we hear residents saying that it's the responsibility of the city council or the government to pave our streets or to do this or to do that, when in fact, as the city council mentioned, they are a revenue generating organization where it relies on our payment, which is their primary revenue generator of property taxes, to invest back in the city, to provide services back to the city. So essentially, it requires both of our work together to see action actually taking place. And really and truly, it makes me think even more how instrumental the City Council has been in still carrying out projects, knowing that they are owed $30 million. You know, even more, it makes me wonder how they're able to become innovative every time to provide services to us. But yes, I definitely enjoyed that conversation as well. And then, of course, we wrap things up with our final segment, which was all about preparation for the hurricane season or disasters in general. And we had with us Red Cross representative Terrence Woodeye with us, and he was talking to us about how you can prepare yourself and the 3 steps that are involved. Of course, they also have a booklet that really narrows things down for you and your family. If you'd like to have access to the booklets, you can get them at the Red Cross Center. They also sell first aid kits where you can also have access to that, but you could also create your own first aid kits as well. But yeah, those were the 3 conversations, and we want to thank you guys so much for joining us. We don't have any birthday shout outs for you today, but we want to say happy birthday to you if you are celebrating a birthday today. Of course, though, if you have any questions or concerns, you can send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. You can also tune in on our Facebook page at Open Your Eyes BZ and catch behind-the-scenes content on Instagram at OYEBelize. But thank you guys so much for joining us, and join us again tomorrow as you open your eyes
To start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
And your hearts open.
have a great Monday.
Was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.